what is your thought on blending the on-the-job training with a formal education, where the apprentice doesn't need to go to a university and get his degree? He can be at a client place or an organization doing his on-the-job skilling, and then he get his formal education also. So how do you see from your company or from your industry perspective, Ajit?
Thanks, Dhriti. I think that's a very, very interesting question. And of course, you've seen the need, and I think you all are trying to address that. So definitely, I mean, like Aashay was saying, and when I was talking about my ginger story. But yes, the apprentice program, I think, for at least for the hotel industry, it's been very, very, it's been there perhaps right from this time the industry started. It was informal, and then it got a formal structure, and with regulations coming in, today we see it very differently. So, but in our Indian context, yes, the apprentice tag is not as glorified as when you say you're an intern, or you're a management trainee, or you're a corporate trainee. So these words are much more attractive, and of course, but traditionally in our industry, the interns, not interns, but rather the apprentice was the traditional route, and that's how most leaders in the industry grew. So yes, I think this is a very interesting idea to bring about graduation as well as the apprentice into the apprentice kind of program. And also what's going to be, I think, key is the balance between the kind of theoretical inputs, and how does one get to spend time with that, still balancing the requirement. Because I think the challenge definitely for a student is going to be, or the program structure would be, to say that how can we ensure that we don't dilute these certain. So practical, I guess, would happen, and after a certain phase of time, the practical inputs will become more intense. But how do you maintain intensity of the other inputs, or the theoretical inputs that are required?
So I think, as an idea, obviously it's the great novel idea, and it will obviously help from an overall improving employability prospect for a large number of students who come from that background. The only caveat here is that at least in the technical domain, I think there is no escaping domain knowledge, and hence hence efforts will have to be made to ensure that the rigor of domain knowledge or technical know-how, that does not get diluted because of this blending of on-the-job experience along with parallel learning that is happening, right? Otherwise, what will happen is it will be the worst of both worlds, because technical know-how might, if it becomes lacking, it will impact employability, and because then there is no employability, and hence there is no technical domain to be grasped. So that might become a vicious circle, which we should be aware of. But from an otherwise trainability perspective, employability perspective, I think it's a great idea. I think that's something that's a novel thought.